Hi, my name is Kurt Robinson, and I'm going to be doing a serve analysis of Isabella Graf, comparing it to Andy Roddick's serve. The reason why we're using Andy Roddick as the standard of Isabella's, comparing her serve to his, is Andy Roddick has not the best serve on tour, but he has the most consistent serve on tour, as getting the most miles per hour on each service stroke, either a flat, kick, or slice. But today we're just going to look at his flat serve, because that's what Isabella's strength suit is right now. There's a four-step method upon which we're going to analyze Bella's serve, and it's going to be the range, the sequence, the speed, and the alignment of how she hits her serve. Now, when you're talking about range, what you really got to look at is how much one coils upon before hitting the serve. We're going to talk about the hips, shoulders, and arms when we talk about the full range and coil. For Andy Roddick, he gets a full 123-degree hip rotation. He gets 123-degree shoulder rotation, and then his arm gets all the way back to 127-degree rotation. This maximum range allows for the biggest possibility of getting racket head acceleration once he starts accelerating to hit the ball. We're going to compare this to Isabella's serve, and we're going to see if or if not does she have a decent amount of coilation. As you can see, Isabella not necessarily gets a full hip rotation all the way around. If you look at Andy Roddick's, his hips are actually facing almost close to the back corner of the wall. Isabella's is still not even 90 degrees perpendicular to the baseline. Her shoulders, though, if you look at it, is not taken back as far as Andy Roddick's. This is a pretty bad angle, but we can see that it's probably around 90 degrees instead of that full 123 that we're looking at. And as she continues to hit, the explosiveness up into the ball will allow her to get the racket head to fall below her elbow. This is what we're going to measure when we talk about the arm, the degree of how the arm bends. If you look at Andy Roddick's, his goes all the way down to a 123-degree angle, but Bella's is more about 90. So Bella's is very not getting into triple digits, but when we talk about Andy Roddick's, he's all in triples. The reason why the range is important because it also helps utilize the sequence, and which would be the second part of what we're going to analyze. Everybody serve on tour, and even down to high-level players, to collegiate players. They all serve, and you need to think of it as if it was a rocket. The first stage of the rocket will start off with the legs, with the load up. The second stage that fires will be the hips. The third stage will be the shoulders. The fourth stage will be the arm, and the fifth stage will be the hand. The reason why a rocket analogy is so crucial is because for one to get his racket head speed as high as possible was that the sequence in which he serves has to be exact. If one is off, he loses a lot of potential and the kinetic chain starts to break down. And that actually goes down to our third point, which is speed. Without all 5 steps of the rocket or the servers going off in a correct sequence, we're going to lose racket head speed, which in turns we lose miles per hour on our serve. Andy Roddick does a good job at always keeping all 5 sequences of the serve consistent, which is centrifugal force, which we'll call in this video the hidden force multiplier. Now, what we really want to talk about when we talk about the speed of Isabella's serve is we want to make sure when she gets her hip rotation in that she's actually taking advantage of a very crucial step, which is the hidden force multiplier. Now, the way that we got 16 as the hidden force multiplier is that we took 3 inches, which is from the center of the hips to the center of the body. That's how we got 3 inches. And then the average length from the center of a tennis player to the tip of his racket head is about 48 inches. And what we do is we divide 48 into 3, which will get 16. 16 will eventually turn into our hidden force multiplier, in which we would like to take advantage of. Xiaomi Max Performance Institute does a really good example of a toy helicopter. When we were a kid, when we used to play with the helicopters, the reason why it didn't take off by us just turning it, and the only reason we took off when we rubbed our hands together, is because the outside of the shaft to the inside of the shaft is 1/8 of an inch, and the outside of the tip of the blade to the shaft in the center is 4 inches. The hidden force multiplier, when we divide those two together, is 32. This concept applies exactly like a tennis player taking off. Without this hidden force multiplier, the propeller will not take off. This concept applies exactly like it does in tennis. Now, when we talk about Andy Roddick's arm rotation, it's about 127 degrees for a very consistent serve. We need a minimum of 50, and as we can see, Isabella has plenty of that. Also, with back extension, we're going to need a minimum of 26, and then at least 50 degrees in hip rotation. As you can see, Isabella does a very nice job on all 3 of them. Now, advices that we could give for her is not to go out and lift weights, but actually to get more flexible, so she can get more hip rotation and more arm rotation and being more loose. Especially, and when we go back and talk about how she gets more vertical instead of horizontal, that'll also help with that external arm rotation. As we watch Isabella serves, she gets a somewhat decent leg bend, which that is the first stage of the rocket. She gets some hip turn into it. She gets her shoulders back, but not as quite far back as we would like. And then her arm's in a good position. As you can tell from this video right here, this position, that the racket head is actually extending down, and Isabella is flicking up into the sky with her racket, creating all that kinetic potential going straight up into the body, up into the ball, creating a lot of racket head speed. However, there are a few elements missing of her serve. If we watch it again, we will see that she loads linear instead of up and down. She needs to load more vertical instead of horizontally, because when she loads horizontally, she's just kind of sliding into the ball. She's not jumping up into the ball. If we keep looking at her serve, she drops her left hand slightly, which opens up the shoulders, which means she's losing a lot of potential and speed right there. To finalize Isabella's serves, comparing it to Andy Roddick's, the first thing, of course, would to be polish upping her technique with the shoulder, the legs, and the left arm. But once she finishes up her technique, there's always polish that can be applied to it, and that, of course, will be to the 2 main points that we talked about in this video, which would be the hidden force multiplier that she's not taking advantage of, and of course the external arm rotation. If she increases both the flexibility and the ability to accelerate faster in those 2 areas, her overall serve MPH wise will increase drastically, which would overall make her serve much more effective on the flat serve. This is Kurt Robinson. I hope you enjoyed our video, and I hope to see you in future videos. Thank you.
No, I done wrong, left your heart torn. Is that what devils do? Took you so long.